Eating fats is good for you.
8 out of 10 men will
Cut
be
back on
overweight by
carbs.
2020.
£4.2 billion to spend.
1 in 10
Obesity
are
has
unaware
doubled
of
since
their
1980.
64% of the UK are obese.
Mosaic Films presents Factual, a new documentary exploring the validity of ever-changing government health advice.
I do feel really confused.
We are not a healthy nation.
They looked at weight loss programs.
Comments such as eating fat doesn't make you fat, I think can be very misleading.
Exclusively showcased at independent cinemas from the 17th of January 2017. Factual. Find us on Twitter and Facebook for more details.
Right, where am I? No, more to the point, when am I? Let's see. Ah, yes. Today, November the 23rd, 2013. I've been running all my lives, over 900 years through time and space. And today I stop running from myself.
Doctor, it's time.
Yes, my impossible girl, it is time. So, world, are you ready?
Save the day of the Doctor.
The first difference between our radio advert and this Doctor Who radio advert are the production companies. The Doctor Who advert was produced by BBC Wales and the British Broadcasting Corporation, which is the BBC, while ours was produced by Mosaic Films, which produces more independent products and therefore has a much lower budget. In terms of distribution, the BBC Doctor Who advert was distributed by the BBC again, and while ours was distributed by Dogworth. The fact that the BBC produced and distributed their product shows their high budget, while the fact that we had to use a different production and distribution company shows our low budget. The Doctor Who advert was distributed on all BBC radio stations, while our advert was distributed on LBC, which is a talk radio station called the Leading Britain's Conversation, which is owned by This Is Global Limited, who also own Capital, Classic FM, Gold, Radio X, Pop Buzz, Heart and Smooth. And this just shows the variety which they own. However, as an evaluative point, we probably didn't make the best choice in choosing LBC, who are a conglomerate company as they own all of these radio stations, and as an independent production we would struggle to afford to pay for distribution on this radio. As Doctor Who is obviously owned by the conglomerate of BBC, they have much more money and own their radio stations, and so this radio advert would not be a big deal in their marketing campaign, whereas it would probably be the most expensive part in ours. In terms of length, the Doctor Who advert is 38 seconds, whereas ours is 34, so obviously they're very similar there. The Doctor Who radio advert starts with a sound effect from the TV drama, which creates brand identity and captures the audience from the beginning. We considered including a sound effect at the beginning, which would have been more creative. However, we decided against this in order to opt for a more informative advert. Both radio adverts feature clips from the TV drama or documentary. This clues the audience into what they are signing themselves up for, therefore further attracting the audience. It also creates brand identity and cohesiveness within our marketing campaign. The Doctor Who radio advert adheres much more to Toby Moore's Cool Curve, as it is much more creative and utilises a greater variety of sound effects, whereas ours is a much simpler advert with a voiceover and music score in the background. This is because ours was for a documentary and the Doctor Who advert was for a TV drama, so could afford to be more out there and creative, especially as it is for a sci-fi genre. However, we feel that we could have been a bit more creative with our radio advert, perhaps by including the sound effect. The majority of the Doctor Who advert is excerpts from the TV show, with the release date integrated in the middle, with little focus drawn into it, as they can afford a much greater advertising campaign. And as I already said, this radio advert was not a big part of their campaign, whereas it is the most expensive part of our own. Doctor Who advert also ends with a sound effect of the iconic sonic screwdriver. This creates brand identity. We should have utilised more sound effects, which would make the advert more effective and more interesting for our target audience. In addition, our music score was much low-key. Overall, the adverts, while being similar in length, were quite different, and this just goes to show the kind of what they were advertising, as we stuck to a much less creative advert for a documentary, and theirs was much more creative for their TV drama. Perhaps using an audible source for an advert for a visual product is not the most effective, but we are happy with how our radio advert turned out.